All right. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for watching in advance. This is my YouTube version of my homily for the 30th Sunday of Ordinary Time. This is going to be one of them that doesn't translate to YouTube perfectly because it's Stewardship weekend. So this is that time of the year that, as the pastor, I have to get up and invite my people to continue to support the parish in terms of their time, their energy, their skills, and their financial contributions. So today I'm going to try to keep that in the mix, but make sure the message is general enough for anybody that's watching these YouTube videos. So let's give it a try. Let's see how it goes. We heard in the gospel today, Master, I want to see. So in other words, the blind man wanted to understand what God was desiring for him, and Christ certainly provides that. So I'd like us to take that attitude for ourselves when we think about stewardship. Stewardship weekend, aka let's talk about money for a little while weekend, which fills just every priest with dread. I mean, we wish we didn't have to deal with this, but here we are, modern world. So, as we all know, salvation cannot be bought. We all know this. That is not what stewardship is about. That is not what parish membership is about. For ours is not a motivation. Ours is not a religion motivated by fear. You do not give money to your church and all of that out of fear for being, shunned or whatever. What we are doing is we're responding to the love of God. And that love of God applies to all of us and indeed all of creation. So if your heart is open to the love of God, you have already taken that first critical step towards salvation. Have no doubt about that. The first step of salvation is opening yourself to the love of God. It has nothing to do with how generous you are or how will you participate in religious events. It's opening that door in your heart to the love of God. But to echo Father Matt, who was covering for me last weekend, he said, correctly I might add, he said that once you believe, once you're baptized, once you claim to be a disciple of Christ, everything else boils down to one question. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to respond to the faith that you claim to exist within the depths of your heart? So seriously, I mean, he's right. Once you understand what it is we believe as Catholics, like once you get to that plateau, which is a bit of a step, I realize, all that remains is the manner in which you respond to the presence of the divine within your heart. And obviously, religious devotion is the obvious way we do that. We respond to the love of God by making time for Him in prayer. We come to Mass, ideally on Sunday. We read the Bible and other appropriate theological books. We baptize our children. We go to confession. We at least try to avoid sin and temptation. And all of that is great stuff. But the other critical way that we respond to Christ is by doing good for others. When we talk about the final judgment, and as Catholics we love talking about the final judgment, we are calling to mind the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 31 to 46. That's the separation of the sheep and the goats. What you did for the least of my brethren, you did for me. That is what Jesus Christ is saying to all of us. Man, I wish we could have had that gospel reading for today. That would have been perfect for Discipleship Sunday, for Stewardship Sunday. What can you do? But the point is simple. According to Matthew 25, 31 to 46, when we reach the final judgment, God will judge the worthiness of our lives on what we did, how we responded to the human needs of others. Hey, Bob, you lived 72 years. Not a bad run. Well done. But what did you do for the poor and the needy at that time? Did you do anything for them? Or Or was your life marked by a nonstop rejection of generosity and compassion? Because, if that's the case, that's bad news for Bob. Now, if you think I'm twisting, the facts here, again, to support the Catholic notion of the final judgment, let me take this time to remind you, there are 10 commandments. Only 3 of them are about God. The other 7 are about interacting with other human beings appropriately. Treating other people well is absolutely huge in the eyes of God, and it has been that way at least since Exodus. And stewardship to a parish is precisely along those same lines. Stewardship is about helping us maintain our mission as a parish for the salvation of souls, bringing new souls to God through Christ and strengthening the souls that already belong to Christ. So that's all besides, by the way, the charitable work we do as a nonprofit. So when you contribute to a parish via stewardship, this is what it's all about. When you give your time, your energy, your skills and abilities, and your financial contributions, you are in some way contributing to bringing new souls to Christ or strengthening the souls that already belong to Christ. God made us social creatures. We're meant to care about one another. We're meant to build one another up. And church participation is a huge part of how that takes root in daily life and among the local community. I'll admit, thou shalt support your church. That's not a commandment. But the 10 commandments are nevertheless the building blocks of the church. When we build up one, we honor the other. When we live the commandments, we are more and more temples of the Holy Spirit. So I'm going to wrap up with just one last thing here. I've got another paragraph and a half, but it's very, very specific for my local parish. But this is what I wanted to wrap up on. See, last Saturday we had trunk or treat here at the church parking lot. I had never heard of trunk or treat before. And what it is basically is it's trick or treat, but it's all in one parking lot. So you bring your cars, people decorate, their trunks, and those are the houses that the kids can trick or treat at. And the idea is it's very safe because the kids aren't running around in the street. They're never far from their parents. It's all in one parking lot. Kind of a clever idea. And for us, it was such a wonderful event. We had, 11 cars that were fully decorated and all of that. And our church parking lot is right next to the kids' playground, so the kids had plenty of room to run around and play and burn off that sugar. And they did the trick-or-treating. There was plenty of candy. And the adults brought, beers and snacks and just enjoyed their time together. And, as the new pastor of this community, I just got to witness that and just relish in the joy of healthy church life. All these people just coming together and appreciating their time among one another. As a guy who didn't go to Catholic school, I never had anything like this growing up. The closest thing I had, though, was I lived in a subdivision growing up in the suburbs, and we all knew each other and liked each other as neighbors. So during the summer especially, we would have neighborly get-togethers like that, very, very similar on the spiritual level, even if it was completely different events. And I love that. So I'm bringing that up in this video because when I have to talk about money in any way, I make my pitch and I keep it as spiritual and wholesome as I possibly can. But I just know that a bunch of people are in the pews thinking, okay, Father Justin, when I contribute to the parish, free will donations and all that, what exactly am I getting for my contributions? What am I buying when I put, my $5 in the collection plate? And my answer is, again, with trunk or treat in mind, you're taking ownership of a wholesome community that you are a part of. And that's a wonderful advantage in life. Again, we're social creatures. We need wholesome community. And the first wholesome community that we belong to or should belong to is our family. Obviously, that's not always possible, but when it is, that is a tremendous, tremendous advantage. Be good to your families. But then you break out from your families to a grander, wider net community. And a parish is a really great mid-level community along those lines. And we are wired psychologically that when we in no way contribute to that community, we're not really going to feel like we belong. And what I love about church on the community lines is you don't need to financially contribute. If times are tough and you cannot contribute, hey, you are every bit as part of this community as anyone else. But for your own sake, you do need to take ownership of it, which means if money is not the way you're going to support the church, you should in some way give some of your time, your energy, your skills, because all of that builds up the community, brings new souls to Christ. And again, like trunk or treat, you own your portion of this community. And that is a tremendous, joyful advantage when you really get down to it. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching, especially those of you that in no way have, a stewardship style connection to my parish. I'm grateful that you listened anyway. God bless you all, and have a happy Halloween in a couple of days.